Alberto Kenya Fujimori Inomoto is a former Peruvian engineer and politician who served as the President of Peru from the 28th of July 1990 until his downfall on the 22nd of November 2000. Described as a dictator, he remains a controversial figure in Peruvian politics. His government is credited with the creation of Fujimorism, defeating the Shining Path insurgency and restoring Peru's macroeconomic stability. Though Fujimori ended his presidency by fleeing Peru for Japan amid a major scandal involving corruption and human rights abuses, even amid his prosecution in 2008 for crimes against humanity relating to his presidency, two-thirds of Peruvians polled voiced approval for his leadership in that period. A Peruvian of Japanese descent, Fujimori took refuge in Japan when faced with charges of corruption in 2000. On arriving in Japan, he attempted to resign his presidency via fax, but his resignation was rejected by Congress, which preferred to remove him from office by the process of impeachment by a 62-9 vote. Wanted in Peru on charges of corruption and human rights abuses, Fujimori maintained a self-imposed exile until his arrest while visiting Chile in November 2005. He was extradited to face criminal charges in Peru on the 22nd of September 2007. In December 2007, Fujimori was convicted of ordering an illegal search and seizure and was sentenced to 6 years' imprisonment. The Supreme Court upheld the decision upon his appeal. In April 2009, Fujimori was convicted of human rights violations and sentenced to 25 years imprisonment for his role in killings and kidnappings by the Grupo Colina death squad during his government's battle against leftist guerrillas in the 1990s. The verdict, delivered by a 3-judge panel, marked the first time that an elected head of state has been extradited to his home country. Tried and convicted of human rights violations, Fujimori was specifically found guilty of murder, bodily harm and 2 cases of kidnapping. In July 2009, Fujimori was sentenced to 7.5 years imprisonment for embezzlement after he admitted to giving $15 million from the Peruvian treasury to his intelligence service chief, Vladimiro Montesinos. 2 months later, he pleaded guilty in a 4th trial to bribery and received an additional 6-year term. Transparency International considered the money embezzled by Fujimori to be the 7th most for a head of government active within 1984 to 2004. Under Peruvian law, all the sentences must run concurrently. Thus, the maximum length of imprisonment remained 25 years. In December 2017, President Pedro Pablo Kuczynski granted the 79-year-old Fujimori a humanitarian pardon. The pardon was overturned by Peru's Supreme Court on 3 October 2018 and Fujimori was ordered back to prison. On 23 January 2019, Fujimori was sent back to prison to complete his sentence with his pardon formally being annulled. 3 weeks later on 13 February 2019, according to government records, Fujimori was born on 28 July 1938. In Miraflores, a district of Lima. His parents, Noichi Fujimori and Mutsu Inomoto Fujimori, were natives of Kumamoto, Japan, who migrated to Peru in 1934. In July 1997, the news magazine Cartes alleged that Fujimori had actually been born in Japan, in his father's hometown of Kawachi, Kumamoto Prefecture, because Peru's constitution requires the president to have been born in Peru. This would have made Fujimori ineligible to be president. The magazine, which had been sued for libel by Vladimiro Montesinos 7 years earlier, reported that Fujimori's birth and baptismal certificates might have been altered. Cartes also alleged that Fujimori's mother declared having 2 children when she entered Peru. Fujimori is the second of 4 children. Cartes' contentions were hotly contested in the Peruvian media. The magazine C, for instance, described the allegations as pathetic and a dark page for journalism. Latin American scholars Cynthia McClintock and Fabian Vallas note that the issue appeared to have died down among Peruvians after the Japanese government announced in 2000 that Fujimori's parents had registered his birth in the Japanese consulate in Lima. The Japanese government determined that he was also a Japanese citizen because of his parents' registration. Fujimori obtained his early education at the Colegio Nuestra Señora de la Merced and La Rectora. Fujimori's parents were Buddhists, but he was baptized and raised Roman Catholic, while he spoke mainly Japanese at home. Fujimori also learned to become a proficient Spanish speaker during his years at school. In 1956, Fujimori graduated from La Gran Unidad Escolar Alfonso Ugarte in Lima. He went on to undergraduate studies at the Universidad Nacional Agraria La Molina in 1957. Graduating in 1961 first in his class as an agricultural engineer. The following year he lectured on mathematics at the university. In 1964 he went to study physics at the University of Strasbourg in France. On a Ford scholarship, Fujimori A.